Hey y'all, I'm Bianca.
And I'm Latira, and welcome to Melanated Movie Moments.
All right, we about to jump into I'm about to nerd out today.
Oh, Lord. So today, Melanators, I made that up. We are going to talk about Marvel Cinematic Universe.
MCU. That's for those of you that don't know that, which if you don't, you're probably behind. You got about 362 movies to watch. Catch up.
Yes. So today, the movies we are going to speak on are Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, The Eternals, and Spiderman No Way Home. Now, why these movies are very, very important is because these movies are setting up Doctor Strange and the madness of the multiverse. That movie is going to be pivotal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So these three movies, love them or hate them, are vital to your understanding of that experience.
I'm gonna give y'all two spoiler alerts. One, we try not to tell every single thing that happens through these movies because we're not like necessarily a recapping site. However, we can't talk about them without discussing a few things. So therefore, if you have not seen one of these films, you might want to skip that section of the review. Okay? Or don't get mad at us and don't come in the comments because why would you watch this? Like, just don't. The other spoiler alert is Latira didn't like all the movies. But anyway.
Is that really a spoiler alert? Like, if you followed us, if you've watched our content, is it really a surprise that I did not like all the movies? I only actually liked one out of the three.
One. They get a 33% from her today.
Yeah.
Y'all are probably guessing the wrong one too on one of them.
Y'all are absolutely guessing the wrong one. But we're going to get started with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'll let you go first, Bianca.
I adore this movie. I don't know if I have a bigger word for it. Movies that completely it's semi-origin story, but movies that kick off new characters, especially in MCU, while sometimes they're really good, sometimes they can drag or be a little slow at times because there's so much setup sometimes you have to do. No matter how you try to do it, it's like there's things you got to lay out or establish. This movie to me from the jump had me. Like from the jump, within 15 minutes, I was like, okay, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm excited to see where this goes. I already want to see more of him. I even want to see more of, and yes, this is about to sound like shade, take it as you want. I even want to see more of Awkwafina, who sometimes I enjoy her and sometimes I don't. It's kind of like that thing with me. I'm not an anti-Awkwafina. I'm glad she's a little bit of the extra black scent and just talking. But that's a whole nother story. But I enjoyed both of them. We will talk about it. And what I also enjoy is they have a great friendship in the movie, that while there is a great profound care and an intimacy that comes with a friendship, they didn't necessarily go out their way to try to establish her as his character. Like, there's no way he would ever, but they also didn't set it up as a romance. It's just a loving, great friendship of people that have known each other for a very long time. I like that a lot. I'm a big quiet. I'm gonna give you a chance to jump in because there's so much more about this one, including the villain that Marvel does really great about creating these villains who aren't really just all the way like just evil. There's like things and reasons and depth to what they're doing in at least the film, not things that happened before the film, but during the film that was interesting.
Yeah, so of the three, this is the one I like, the one I enjoyed. First of all, the fight scenes were everything for me. Like, as I'm watching the fight scenes, I'm like, oh, like it was like, I felt like it was like the perfectly choreographed dance, right? So I adored all of the fight scenes.
Every single one.
And what else I adored was like the visual beauty, like even in things that were like ruins, visually it was very aesthetically pleasing. Y'all know I'm big on aesthetically pleasing things. So it was very aesthetically pleasing, even in the darkness and the ruins of certain aspects of the film. It was still something like very beautiful about the artistic expression of the scenes.
Yeah.
So that is my take on the movie. Like that's what I have about it. It was good, and I think the acting was good. I think they had great acting. First of all, y'all know I'm gonna always say this: I'm rooting for everything Black, but I also am of support of other from the Black, Indigenous, people of color collective. I am always in support of the other people of color having movies that fully are infused and representative and collective of their culture. And in that movie, it was like, this was a movie for Asian people. Like, we had Black Panther, they got Shang-Chi, and I'm with it. And I enjoyed that. And it was a good movie. You know what I'm saying? So I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked the direction. I liked the writing. Now, mind you, I'm into comic books, so I was familiar with the story. I didn't know all the ins and outs, but I was familiar with the story. But I liked how they presented it for someone who may not have been familiar with the story at all.
So, I thought there was. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, and it actually highlights other characters that we were introduced to in previous films and the truth about those characters. But I'm gonna leave that there so we don't spoil anything.
Yeah, like, y'all, this was just beautifully done. I'm glad you brought up the parallels about like how Black Panther, while yes, everyone saw the movie, we knew that was like it was like a whole love letter to Blackness and Black culture and the Black diaspora and just beauty and talent and wonder and history, richness of that. And that is what Shang-Chi seemed to be, as someone that is not of the Asian community and the larger Indigenous and Asian community. Like, I watched that film and thought it was so beautiful how they incorporated so many different cultural elements, how they had people and like their personalities were just, it's just a variety of people, a variety of things, a variety of like how culture and duty and things and how that came into play. And I thought that was magnificent. Like, it was beautifully done. I love this film, and I also really do and did enjoy, because to me, you have to have something that's going to pull you in, that's going to be dealing with your antagonist and your protagonist. And I'll just say the relationship between them as foes, as father and son, as a family, as people who are dealing with loss and grief, like that permeated throughout the entire film and pulled at my heart every single time. His relationship with his sister that will let people come into play. Again, with all Marvel films, if you're new to Marvel, watch the after credits.
Yeah.
You should know this by now. Y'all, when I go to the theater, before I go there, I already look up how many there are, because I'm gonna stay all the time anyway, but I'm like, okay, there's a mid one, and then there's an after one, and then there's like, watch the whole thing. This one has 2. Watch them both.
Just let the movie go off. Like, see the sign that says City of Quebec and all that stuff. If you don't see all of that, just say, okay, because they're gonna keep going.
It brings back in things that we saw from probably one of the most lackluster Iron Mans that dealt with the whole team ring. But that's brought back up in this movie in a way that's really funny and cute, and I enjoyed it. And the character you've seen before come back, as she was talking about, I was like, oh, this is okay. And it wasn't just a cameo; they actually do stuff in it. So it's a great film. Totally encourage you to watch it. Like I said, the fight scenes, the relationships, the dialogue, the lead, who, y'all forgive me, but I got to give him his credit, Simu Liu. Like, fantastic casting, fantastic job, personality. I just really enjoyed him. I believed him as just regular, guy, seems really cool, fits into this whole Marvel, probably can fit in with all the other people, because at some point these folks are going to come together. We know how MCU does. It's going to be a while, but at some point he's going to be in some other, like, it's going to happen. It always does, right? But also, like, in the fight scenes, killed it. Like, just it was just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. Love the film. Watch it.
Y'all clearly can see she
Watch
loved
it
it, but
again.
she's still saying she loved it, right?
I love it. I enjoyed it so much. It's not the only movie I like that we're going to talk about. So
The
we're going
only
to
one I
argue
like.
in a
So
moment.
moving to the next movie, we're gonna jump into, and so we're going in order of how they were released, if
Yes.
y'all haven't noticed. Just because Marvel loves to Easter egg, as I call it. And so if you watch these movies in the order they are released, there are Easter eggs in each that ties them together, which again, I keep saying this, will tie into Doctor Strange and the Madness of the Multiverse. So the next movie we're going to discuss is The Eternals.
Okay.
I'm going to start.
Polarizing.
Look, I'm going to start.
Yeah, you start this one.
Didn't like it. I'm sorry. I was just like, whoo, that was 2 hours and 37 minutes. I cannot get back. And I understand the principle and the purpose of the movie. I understand the value of the movie and the characters. I understand it, fully introduced in Celestials and all those things. I don't feel like the story was told well. I just feel like it was hasty. So it went from one thing to extreme, and it was like, okay, all right. And I think part of it too is, again, I told you I am very familiar with a lot of comics. Eternals is one of the ones I was familiar with, so I was super excited about this film, and it was just like, that's how I felt. Like, I just watched it and was like, don't ever have to watch that one again. Now, will I watch it again? Yes, because I'm a Marvel fan, and I have those moments where I want to watch the entire MCU from beginning to end. So it will get watched, because if I do that, it's going to get watched. But in reality, not a fan. I will say there were a few highlights for me. Okay. First of all, I loved Angelina Jolie. I adored her in that movie.
Me too.
I did, because I was just like, it was nice to see her in a different light. It was refreshing to see Angelina differently, right?
Yeah. And she does a great job, because I was actually nervous about her, because I'm a fan of hers, but it's just like when you have a big, especially a star of her caliber, like coming in Marvel, I just wonder, like, is it going to pull away from the scene? Is she going to get in, which I should have known better, having watched her before. I thought she was amazing.
Yeah.
Throughout.
Yeah. Second, I didn't realize that was Harry Styles' child.
Oh yeah, I was
like, oh, all right. I didn't realize it until after, like, I looked at the cast and was like, interesting.
When he came in the theater, I was like, is that here? No, I'm tripping. Like,
yeah. So that was interesting. Third, Gemma Chan. I adore her. I have adored her since Crazy Rich Asians. And when I saw her, I was like, my fave. So that was exciting for me. And the fact that they had Jon Snow in this movie, really his name is Kit Harington, but Jon Snow, so we always gonna be the meat.
Him and his Game of Thrones brother, which we'll get to that in a moment, but I'm just saying.
Those were my favorite parts about the movie. You could keep the rest.
So for me, the movie is, I won't say meh, but I will say it was so-so. I didn't hate the movie. I know some people did. I also didn't love the movie. I'm literally right in the middle of this movie. I enjoyed, in general, my overall experience more so because, like Latira, I like Marvel, and I could see, certain setups or where things might go or certain characters. So that was exciting to me anyway. So I had a bias with that. I think that pulled some of my excitement of, okay, I think this is going to go here. There's some things in the cutscene that got me really excited that didn't happen throughout the movie that I was waiting for, dealing with Kit's character, that excited me a lot. And I think those things are what gave it a solid, for me, high C, low B is where I'm at. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Thor 2. I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed it more than I liked, what was it? Was it Iron Man 3? Whichever the one I just talked about that I didn't really like. So and I know that's setting, I hate to say that, a low bar. Some of the movies that aren't, but I'm saying I enjoyed it more than that, and I enjoy Marvel films, period. So I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it the way I really enjoyed these like other movies, like how I feel about Marvel normally at the end the whole time. I didn't have that the whole time. I have moments where I was like, okay, here we go. Or okay, this scene was like, those would jump out at me. So for me, it was okay. I don't think it was bad, but it wasn't like the greatness that I normally have throughout the entire experience of a Marvel film, if that makes sense.
And
But I
fun
also
fact.
loved Angelina,
Yeah.
adored
Fun
her.
fact. Fun fact.
I absolutely did. And when you see her character and the things that character to do, she did an incredible job and pull you in. I was excited about where Kit is going to go. I'll just leave it as that. That excited me. And I did like that they had a scene, and if you watch Game of Thrones, Gemma Chan's character's name Cersei, spelled different, completely different character. But in Game of Thrones, one of the main antagonists until the end, we'll talk about that later. The main antagonist is named Cersei. So to see the two Game of Thrones brothers who weren't in the first episode of that whole series have a scene talking about Cersei, I was like, this, I'm being a nerd, but this is funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there's things that there was things that could be better. I was disappointed with some character arcs or what they did with certain characters, or they didn't give me enough of certain characters. And then there's other parts that was like, this is fun, it's picking up, I like this. Okay, it was very roller coaster for me, like exciting, and then other times where I'm like, okay, this is getting us somewhere. Like, all right, we'll get there.
It was like a bad DJ. It was like a bad DJ who does not know how to read the room. That's what this movie was. A bad DJ that does not know how to read the room.
Yeah, so.
And then I found out it was directed by
your friend.
My friend. And I was like, oh, this is why I absolutely probably do not like it.
Yeah. It's Chloe Zhao. If y'all did not know, that's telling me you haven't been watching our videos. Latira was not a fan of her Oscar-winning the Nomadland movie either. So
I still want to see the votes. I want to see the votes. I don't believe it. I want to see the votes.
Hey, it makes sense though, because much like that, I think we can maybe agree that they had some really lovely, pretty shots in the movie. Like certain things cinematically were nice in the Eternals throughout, whether you like the story or not. Again, this is a polarizing Marvel film. Even online, people are kind of similar to, you'll see people that will fight tooth and nail for it. You'll see people like me that's like, it's okay. And then you'll see folks like the tear stuff that's like, oh my God. Like it was not like, like it's all over the place on this movie. There's not a hard consensus, honestly.
Like forcing a baby to eat prunes.
With that, is there anything else you want
to? Now we're gonna move on to Spider-Man.
Cast was beautifully diverse. I will say that in all ways. That's true.
Diverse, yes.
That was super. That was very cool. Yeah. Even including the character that was mute or like in all this stuff, or wasn't really like this. This was. I do want to that. I thought that was great, and that wasn't made a big deal about them. It just was, and I like that too. Like it just was. It wasn't like a let's do a cut scene about this gay man and couple, or let's do a thing about this person and their age, or like that part does come up, but this person and it was like this is who they are now movie, and I like that.
Yeah, that was great.
All right, now to your favorite, which I'm gonna ask you at the end. If you had to rank all three of them, where would you put these two? But I almost want to let you start, even though you started last time.
Okay, so the last movie we're going to review is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, let me start by saying, I'm going to let Bianca start, but I'm just going to put this caveat out there. I am not a fan of Spider-Man, in statement. Spider-Man has always been probably one of my least favorite heroes. I know kids love him. I don't. And the reiterations of Spider-Man, so what's the Tobey and then Garfield and now Tom, out of all of them, I like Tom the most. However, I still am not a Spider-Man fan. Go ahead, Bianca. You can speak on this movie first.
All right. So for Spider-Man, I am a Spider-Man person. I enjoy Spider-Man. I like the film series. I like the iterations of them until they mess them up eventually for me, because Spider-Man 3 with Toby. Sony messed that up. They just put too much in that movie. I liked Andrew. And it was kind of weird when that came up. I actually really liked Andrew, but I think because I like Andrew Garfield in real life a lot, that mirrors in because he had a lot of his regular personality in that role. Other roles, he kind of turns into the character. His general personality was brought into the character, and I like him. So that's a bias I know I have about that second iteration of Spider-Man. I just really like Andrew. Mm-hmm. For this one, yes, much like you. By the way, I think Tom Holland is just one of the most incredible, sweetest, hard. It appears to be. Now, if I met him in real life, who knows, right? But appears to be amazing. I love him and Zendaya and all that stuff. I really, really like this movie. I was crying in this movie. You know, I'm an emotional thug. Things came up that I was like, oh, that happens in this multiverse. We'll just keep dropping that again. Watch out, Doctor Strange and the whole multiverse of madness, right? But in this multiverse, like I was like, oh, so this happens here also with a different person. I'll just say that. Mm-hmm. They're gonna say a line that's like, oh, here's this line also. I'm like, okay. I liked it. I just feel like my boy Spider-Man just need a break because honestly, this movie starts exactly after the last movie. Like when the movie starts, you are literally right in the chaos of the announcement and things that happen at the end of the second movie. Like they didn't do a big jump forward. It's like, bam, chaos. Right. People know who you are. We're starting right here, right now. I was like, and I did like that. I do like when sometimes MCU films that have already been established do that because I feel like, okay, we getting right into what's going to be happening. Right. So that was cool. And I do think they do a lot about the sacrifice, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown thing that goes throughout with all this. The fact that he is, and as much as I know there are things that frustrate you, I'm like, I think that this Spider-Man does the best job about establishing like he is a kid, he is a teenager. Yeah. And while he might be mature and great and have a big heart in some ways, he's still a kid that has not even graduated high school, navigating stuff, and he's going to make sometimes decisions that are good decisions, but the execution is a little rushed or impulsive. But I'm like, he's supposed to be like 18, 17. They're impulsive teenagers. Like they're like, I'm gonna fix it now and I can do this thing. And it's like, maybe you should know I'm gonna do it. And that comes out. But I do feel like this iteration of Spider-Man, he need a break between Infinity War, the blip, what happened in the last one, this one. I'm like, let that baby sit on an island for a second or something. I don't know what to tell you. It's been a lot. I'm concerned. You need some therapy. I don't know. Like it's a lot to this character.
Yeah.
They beat Tom up. They beat him up.
He'd be all right. So for me, I don't hate this movie. Okay. This one I didn't hate. And like Bianca, I did appreciate that it was like Spider-Man Far From Home. Boom. Spider-Man No Way Home. Wait, didn't I just watch that? Oh, all right. So you just spinning it from we are just still in the same day. Got it. Makes sense. Cool. I think what frustrated me about this movie was the lack of logic. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, it is part of me has to remember Spider-Man is a kid, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, dude, you are a part of the Avengers, the world's mightiest superheroes. You should have more sense at this point. You should have way more sense at this point. And it's like you said, you was like, oh, I cried and this, that, and that. But I'm like, yo, you created your own chaos.
You did. His mentor, though, remember, chaos. His mentor, who is now passed on from the MCU, we could say that. That's been a while. We know about Iron Man. One was his mentor, but two, even if he hadn't passed away and was still here, Iron Man is pretty goddamn impulsive. He told people the directions to his house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's my thing. I'm like, you learn nothing from Tony Stark. You don't listen. You don't listen.
It doesn't.
And it's like, and I get it. It is necessary. This movie is very necessary to the next phases, right? And the next movies that are aligning with this. And I understand that. But part of me was like, bruh, you gotta be kidding me. Why are we here? We're here because X. And what I do appreciate about the movie is the sentiment that the lessons are trying to present.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm like, this is why I don't like you, Spider-Man. This is why.
I will say that, and this doesn't always go. We have seen couples and we have seen close friends work together in movies, and then it doesn't align or it just doesn't work out. But Tom and Zendaya, their chemistry, and I mean beyond their relationship, even in the early movies where they were officially dating, there was a connection. They share some certain scenes, including there's a scene, I won't say what happened before, but the rooftop scene, and he's talking and there's no, like, they're not saying anything, but it's just a look and a connection that felt so real and genuine, as it should in the movie, but it felt like a very deep, like when you have those friends or if you have a partner or you have a family member that you're really close to and you're hurting, and just them showing up, no words need to be said, but you can feel that connection, that warmth, and that care in these scenes. I thought that was nice. I'm glad they spent a little time on it, because for me, it makes sense because there's a lot of trauma and things going on. So I'm glad they leaned a little more into these characters in this film or in a relationship. Him and his best friend are best friends. Like, there should be a few more of those moments sprinkled throughout based on what's happening in the film. And I'm glad they gave that a little time. Not like a long time. It didn't drag. I would say the pacing of this film is good.
The pacing was good.
But they gave it time, though. They still gave those moments time. And I'm gonna say one more funny thing, and I'm gonna be quiet for a second. This not a spoiler. This was in the trailers. The villains, right? Jamie Foxx's little makeover, like they acting like we ain't see what he looked like when he was in the Spider-Man with the Spider-Man he was in with that hair and the glasses, the teeth, the whole thing. Jamie must have said, "Baby, I'm not doing that," because Jamie showed up, baby Diesel. He had he had it faded and trimmed. I was like, wait a minute, what?
I saw that. I was like, I forgot Jamie was even in a Spider-Man, because I was like, that's not what he looked like.
That was not at all. That made him look a fool in that second Andrew Spider-Man. That's why I just called them so y'all know which era we're talking about. I ain't about to go through the names. They were all Spider-Man then. They didn't have the longer titles. That second Andrew Spider-Man, which did the same thing as the third Tobey Spider-Man, which was just too much stuff all thrown in this movie, like bam, bam, bam. I'm like, what are you doing? Jamie was in that one. If you don't believe me, do a Google a search of him in that movie, what he looked like. Yeah. What he looks like the whole movie, pretty much, until he turns into the thing. And then this movie, I said, well, hey, Jamie.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it.
And it sets up, like you said, there's a lot of things that's setting up the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and stuff, including, I know some of y'all behind, we giving y'all, you might feel like it's too much homework, but it's these films, plus watch the Marvel series, at least WandaVision, and
Loki. At least watch Loki.
At least WandaVision and What If, but Loki also. Like in that order, WandaVision, there's a particular episode of What If that focuses on Doctor Strange. You need to watch the whole series, but if you watch nothing else, watch that episode. Find it. It's one of the first 3 or 4. If you only can watch one, just watch them all. But if you only can watch one, watch that.
And you have to watch Loki.
And definitely Loki. Like, all this sets up all these things that are happening in that movie. I'm not saying all these characters from all the shows are going to pop up in them, but there are pieces, and it explains things that I feel like it's obvious. I saw them manifesting in this Spider-Man movie. Yeah. So,
and if you watch
Doctor Strange, I'll be wanting to slap him too sometime. Like, I love him.
What you are not going to do is slap Dr. Stephen Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange has the most sense out of all of these people.
No, he don't. He keep willy-nilly the magic. He be knowing not to. He be like, take a step back. His homeboy
because he technically is the sorcerer supreme. But they
Wong be trying to tell him.
They disrespecting his authority.
This is why I like Wong will come in there, look at him, try to tell him not to do something, and then just shake his head like, I know this boy I know this fool finna do this. Like, he just be like,
I mean, you're right.
Yeah, like, and I like Doctor Strange. I'm not saying that he's just like, I'm not saying that's no, but he for him to be so smart, he'll do all this greatness, and then he'll make like this one little decision where I'll be like, dude, you knew not to do this. But there's a whole scene with him and Spider-Man where Spider-Man got on my nerves too, because I wanted to say, shut up. This man's trying to tell you something. You're not listening.
Yeah, listen, child. I don't know. I'm excited for the next movies to come out. Yeah. You said ranking. So if I had to rank these movies, what is the ranking like? Are we giving it a score? Are we going 1, 2, 3? Like,
I meant for you. Well, I think I kind of got it from your talking, but I was like, if you were doing first, your favorite, your second, and then your last place of these three.
Well, you already know.
I think I know now.
Yeah. So Shang-Chi, 10 Rings, 1, Spider-Man No Way Home, 2, and Eternals. Really, I wouldn't even put it in 3. I would just throw it out the window. But if I had to give it a place, I guess it's 3rd. I don't believe in participation trophies, and that's what it would get.
It would get a solid 3 for me. That my order's the same, but I give the Eternals 3rd place. Another movie where, again, all of these films, y'all, if you don't watch these end credit scenes, you gotta get out. I don't know. Like when I see people leaving from the movie, the only reason I don't say anything is because sometimes people watch movies twice. Like that might be their second time seeing it, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. I saw the end credits. I get that, but I see people fully well that I know they have not seen this movie, and they just get up and walk out, and I'm just like, what are you doing? These things are important. They set up stuff like
that happened when I was watching Spider-Man, and I was just like, I guess y'all don't care. And so the person who worked in the theater looked up because by the cleaning he saw me, he was like, and he sat back down because he was aware that there are 2 end credit scenes. You gotta watch them. You have
and they led to a lot of discussion because one of them will make you say, wait a minute, well, yeah, oh, okay, well, let me, like it led some good conversation. There's a character again that we don't normally see in MCU pop up that was just exciting because I was like, like that one actually made me kind of have a little gasp. Just because I saw this actor in the first end credit at the bar talking. Yes, who their films had not been pulled into this. So to see them sitting there, I was like, okay, let me pay attention to what he's saying because just seeing him made me already say, wait a minute. Oh, let me be quiet so I can listen to what he's saying.
Okay.
And I'll just tell you, like, if now you've probably seen the longer trailer, but I'll just say, like, the last end credit scene, it was like a cool way because it's like I got to see a partial dang near trailer for a movie before the trailer came out. Like I was excited. I felt like I was getting a preview, like I got like, a little special screening.
So ultimately, I'm gonna spoil it for y'all. I'm not gonna say what happens, but I'm gonna spoil it for y'all. The second end credit in Spider-Man No Way Home is the trailer to Doctor Strange and the first one. The madness of the multiverse.
Multiverse of madness.
Multiverse of madness, man. Listen.
That's what kind of movie it is. Look.
Yeah, so I'm in another multiverse, but that trailer is important because it's giving you information. You need these nuggets. All of these movies are nuggets. You need them.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
And I'm just also gonna say this continued arc. Y'all, like you said, watch WandaVision, push through the first couple episodes. It sets up the rest. But I'm glad that they are not finna do what they did with Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow. Like she was integral, but while this is not her own movie, I love that Scarlet Witch got her own show. You're about to see things finally manifest and come full circle from her, things that have built from back from Age of Ultron on. Like I actually like that for this character, that we have seen this arc, and it's always every movie or film she's in, there's a growth forward, there's a progression of character for her. Mm-hmm. It's not just she's a cool character and she shows up. Like if you watch every movie she's in, there's some push forward, some result that happened from what happened in the past, something that's going on where it just pushes her forward. And I'm glad that her character is getting that kind of like love, and it's not like getting relegated to like, oh, cool character, woman that can kick tail, all this stuff. No, I like that. Like every film she's in is like, it's pushing her forward to this moment that I'm excited in Doctor Strange to see where it goes. Because from the trailer, I can't completely tell where it goes, and I'm glad. I just know it's going to be a big deal.
But yeah, so yeah. I just want y'all to, in the comments, let Bianca know that I'm right. But if you enjoyed our show today, I want you to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. I'm not sure where the button is, but I'm gonna point down.
Yes. Like the video too.
Like the video, share the video, follow us on social media at Melanated Movie Moments. And thanks for joining us.
See y'all next time.